What is going on, guys? Matt Downs with Daily Grind Fantasy Sports to help give you the edge for this NBA massive 12-game slate on DraftKings. Cannot wait to break it down. If you guys are brand new to this channel, we provide both free and paid content for all daily fantasy sports across all sports. If you could please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, notification bell, and of course smashing that like button for all of our future NBA content. If you would like to know more about becoming a better DFS player and taking down that big GPP, head over to www.patreon.com/DGFantasy for more information. On Patreon, we give advanced cheat sheets for all DFS sports on DraftKings. These cheat sheets include updated projections, ownership, and our overall favorite plays from slate to slate. We take it a step further by teaching you how to play fantasy sports like a shark, by showing you where the best leverage spots are to put you in the best spots to take down tourneys. Also included is our private Discord chat where you get to talk over the slate with everyone, including our coaches, to help build your lineups. And now let's go ahead and dive right into this NBA 12-game slate. We have so much to cover, so let's just jump right into it. We have a lot of solidified injury news. We have a lot of pending injury news. We have a lot of what-ifs. We have a lot of pay-up options. We have a lot of dumpster diving options. We have a lot of mid-range value. We have everything. But I do think there's a general direction that you will see the slate go. It's going to be who's going to be rolled out right before lock, who's going to present the most value, and then who's going to be the most obvious pay-up options. And I think that's going to be the general direction. So right now, we have a lot of value and a lot of guys to talk about across the NBA. And I'm just going to go over those things. Like I said, the format of these videos have changed. I go over the obvious cash plays, and then I cover my favorite GPP options. So instead of covering every single game because it's just irrelevant, like I can sit here and we can talk about the Toronto Raptors, but they're just not going to have any ownership whatsoever. And obviously, they're going to be good GPP plays in a pace-up spot. But focusing on just the cash plays, let's start out with the injury report, and I will give you guys a general direction and what we're really looking for throughout the day. With Chicago, we have Zach LaVine and Troy Brent out. Zach LaVine, very big piece in that offense, so that's obviously going to shake up things in Chicago. With Cleveland, we have Windler and Dotson out. Nothing really going on there. With OKC, we have Dort questionable. That's something to pay attention to. Deck, SGA, Hall, Muscala, and Roby out for them. With Indiana, we actually have Sabonis and Turner. Unfortunately, Turner's going to be out for the rest of the season. These are two big guys, so we're going to have to hone in on the big guys there in Indiana. With Phoenix, we have Nather out. With Philadelphia, both Tobias Harris and Ben Simmons are questionable. Definitely something to keep an eye on. With Golden State, we have solidified injury news here. We have Pascal and JTA out for them. Definitely some value in Golden State. With the Wizards, I was about to say the Warriors again. With the Wizards, we have Hachimura out. Since he is out, that does present a lot of value with both the superstars and the value plays on the Wizards, so we'll be paying attention there. With Brooklyn, Kevin Durant is questionable. If he plays, that's massive. If he's out, then yes, I will be giving you guys that top GPP play with Jeff Green yet again. Jeff Green, sensational game last night. 3% ownership, and I believe he was one of my favorite GPP options on our sheet. With Toronto, we have Harris, we have Hood and Watson out for them. Doesn't really impact them. With Utah, Donovan Mitchell is out, so definitely a team I want to pay attention to in terms of GPP and maybe some potential cash plays. With Houston, we have Augustine, Brown, Exum, Gordon, House, and Nwaba out for them. Doesn't really impact them because they've had the same injury report for a while now, and John Wall and Christian Wood are back playing along with Kevin Porter. Those are the main superstars. Without them, obviously there's going to be some value, but when they do play, then there's really nothing to look at. With Atlanta, we have Dunn and Reddish still out. They've been out for a while, so it doesn't really impact them. With New York, we have Mitchell Robinson out. With Detroit, we have Smith, Hayes, McGruder out. Doesn't really impact them. With Dallas, just Terry. Definitely doesn't impact them. Miami, Oladipo is out. Jimmy Butler is questionable. Hero, Adebayo, and Dedmon. That is very, very big. If any one of those guys are ruled out, I think it's going to impact the picture there in Miami versus a pace-up spot versus my very mediocre 28-28 San Antonio Spurs. But again, that's one thing we have to monitor up through lock at 8:30. Hopefully we get it before lock. With Memphis, we have Valanciunas out. There is some additional value there. With the Clippers, Kawhi Leonard is not playing for the next week. So guess where we're going there? We're going with Paul George. We're going to talk about them here in a little bit. With Denver, just Monty Morris doesn't really impact them. With the Portland Trailblazers, Damian Lillard is back, so it definitely gets me off of every single other player on that team. With last but not least, the Minnesota game, we saw what Karl Anthony Towns did without Malik Beasley there against the highest pace team in the NBA, Sacramento. Other than that, nothing really going on there. And then with Sacramento, Marvin Bagley is out. Did you guys catch all that? Are we good? We're on the same page? All right, that's it. I'm going to end the video. Now we're going to talk about every single play in those games. Let's start out with Indiana. Like I said, without the big men there, going against OKC. It's a 227 over-under, which actually is a lot bigger than I thought it would be. But the one guy we're going to be focusing on here in this matchup is going to be Goga. Goga projected 26 minutes. If we take a look at the usage rate, without those guys on the court, Goga's averaging 1.21 fantasy points per minute and an 18.8 usage rate. Very good play there. And when he's projected 26 minutes at a 4.2K price tag, one of the more obvious plays on the slate. Taking a look at the rest of the roster here, there is some additional value, like Sumner at 22 minutes. Brogdon is going to be the guy that's going to get all the usage. Only at 7.7K, only scored 94 points in the last matchup here versus San Antonio, and he still hit value and then some. So I really do like him here as a low-owned GPP option against OKC. OKC, again, not the craziest pace-up spot, but like I said, you take both Miles Turner and Sabonis off the court, and apparently Indiana's going to be scoring a bunch of points here. 118 projected points to be scored against OKC. So I do like Malcolm Brogdon. The rest of these guys are just going to be GPP options, and like I said, we are still pending injury news here. On Lamb, Goga himself, if he is ruled out, that's huge, and then McDermott. So if those guys are added to the injury report, I have a lot more interest here, but just right now, Brogdon is going to be a great GPP option, and Goga is going to be an obvious cash option there for that roster. Going over to Golden State versus Washington, the highest over-under on the slate, 239. It's going to be Minnesota and Sacramento, and also Golden State, Washington, battling out for that highest over-under on the slate, but both games are going to be great to target. Talking about the Golden State side first, we take off JTA and Pascal. And the starting center here is Kevon Looney. 30 projected minutes. We have him at 0.83 fantasy points per minute with those guys off the court. I know it's not the craziest thing, but he's only 3.8K and a fantastic matchup versus Washington. I think he's another great option here at the center. There's going to be so many options every single night for at the center position. But Kevon Looney, one of my favorite value plays here on the slate. And then other than that, you're going to want to target some of these pay-up options from this team in cash. Steph Curry is going to be one of those guys. Like I said, you're going to be paying down for all these other value plays that we're going to be talking about throughout this video, but you're also going to have to pay up. I think Steph Curry has a tremendous ceiling. I think he has a good floor, and you guys have been seeing what he's been doing lately in a very great matchup against Washington. So love Kevon Looney and love Steph Curry here. I think they're both cash viable from this matchup. Flipping over to the other side here, we have a lot to talk about with Washington. Without Hachimura, that's like 35 plus potential minutes going throughout all these other players on the team. Raul Neto being one of those guys, 3.3K, 27 projected minutes, and Raul Neto, if we go to the usage board here, let me find him. Averaging 0.76 fantasy points per minute. That's not thrilling, but at 27 projected minutes, again, only 3.3K, only $300 more in the bottom of the barrel price tag of $3,000. Really do like him here in the spot. 6.2 point per dollar value, and it is a huge pace-up spot. Bertans also projected 28 minutes, a 4.3K price tag. And if we take a look at that board for Bertans, 0.93 fantasy points per minute, so that is better than Raul Neto. He's a great shooter, pace-up spot. We love shooters and pace-up spots. 26.04 fantasy points is what we have him projected at. Throw Ish Smith, Alex Len to the board there. I don't love him as much. I think they're more GPP options. But Bradley Beal, I want you guys to take a look at this. Bradley Beal actually averages more fantasy points per minute without Hachimura on the floor, and a huge sample size, so it's very convincing. Higher usage rate, higher fantasy point per minute output than Russell Westbrook. I'm saying a lot of people are going to be going to Russell Westbrook, but Bradley Beal is also cheaper, 9.4K. Russell Westbrook, 10.9K. And I think Bradley Beal is a better overall play. So I really do like him. I think he's cash viable. I think he's GPP viable, especially if he's carrying lower ownership than Russell Westbrook. And plus, you got that little bit of a salary increase based on what he did the last couple contests here, 43 and 50 points. So 9.4K, very undervalued here for Bradley Beal. He's actually my favorite pay-up option just in this game in general. I think it's going to be him and Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook. I obviously can't hate you for any one of those three, but I'm going to be prioritizing Bradley Beal in this matchup. Going down the line here, we have Chicago. Chicago is obviously without LaVine. Huge blow to their offense, but gives a huge usage increase to some of these players. So one thing I am definitely looking at in terms of this entire roster here is going to be the minutes. Garrett Temple projected 28 minutes at 3.3K. He's not the best fantasy point per minute, only averaging 0.73 fantasy points per minute. Still comes out to a 6.2 point per dollar value and a 20.44 fantasy output. So I do like him for value. I think he's going to be lower owned. And Daniel Tice, we don't have much of a sample size here of him in Chicago. 3.8K, 25 minutes. I used his other fantasy point per minute in Boston, which is 0.89 fantasy points per minute, to come out with a value of 5.9. I do like him. I just don't know what these minutes are going to look like here once these guys step onto the floor. You take Zach LaVine on or off the court, and you add in somebody like Daniel Tice, Garrett Temple, and pretty much the rest of these guys. Vucevic is in the mix now. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I will say one convincing stat here is going to be Vucevic as another great center option on the slate. Vucevic is averaging 1.62 fantasy points per minute. That's something similar to what we saw in Orlando in a 27.1% usage rate. So I really do like him. I think he's going to be very, very low owned, and he's another great center option here for this roster. Kobe White playing a lot of minutes, does get a nice little usage bump, 0.96 fantasy points per minute, projected 32 minutes. I also like him for GPP. I think this is a great team to target in terms of GPP low owned value. Again, this matchup against Cleveland is not good, so nobody's going to be taking anybody from this game in general, and it should be a competitive game. Only a 211 over under right now, 212 almost. So low owned GPP options all the way around here from Chicago. Going over to Memphis, we have Joval out for them. So there's only one guy I really want to talk about here, and that's Xavier Tillman. Tillman averages over a fantasy point per minute with these guys off the court, and he played 41 minutes in his last contest against Denver. They lost by 2 points. Scored 45 DK points. Probably isn't going to do that again, but I do like him for his upside, a 6.5 point per dollar value, and a very good matchup here versus Zubac at 4.2K. The one thing I love about Xavier Tillman, given all these other center options on the slate, is his power forward eligibility. Love him because you're going to be able to slide him into that forward spot or that power forward spot in a great matchup here versus the Clippers. And then last but not least, I want to talk about Utah. Utah is without Donovan Mitchell here. Donovan Mitchell, you take him off the court, and it really gives a usage boost to this entire team. This is a very good team in general. I will show you guys here. Just looking up and down, like there's a whole bunch of usage rates going up. All the blue, everybody gets a usage bump. So just give out usage rates to everybody. So we're going to be paying attention to the price tags here. I don't mind Royce O'Neal for a low owned GPP option. Here, 4.5K, 33 projected minutes. He's averaging 0.79 fantasy points per minute with him off the court, which is actually better than what he normally averages. He averages about 0.67 fantasy points per minute. So love him. Derek Favors projected at 16 minutes, averaging 1.17 fantasy points per minute. So like him, Bogdanovich, a great option. Mike Conley, I can keep going down the list, but really just prioritize the price tags. They're all about the same. Take cheaper options like Royce O'Neal. Bogdanovich is a great option. Mike Conley's a little too pricey for me, and same thing with Jordan Clarkson. I know a lot of people are going to be going to them, but Rudy Gobert also came down the price tag. All these guys are great options. Not the best matchup here versus Houston, but that's it for cash, guys. Pay down for all the value plays I just talked about throughout the entire slate here. Pay up for Russell Westbrook, Bradley Beal, or Steph Curry. And there's another option here without Kawhi Leonard. Obviously, Paul George is going to be very chalky, and the pace of spot came down in price tag here, 9.3K. And I didn't even talk about Cat himself. Like, Cat went off last night here versus Sacramento. Literally have an exact sample size right here. Scored 66 points. So a lot of people are going to be going back to the well here, and he got a price decrease. I don't get it. I think some of these guys will carry ownership here in Minnesota. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be carrying a good price tag, or a good ownership. Karl Anthony Towns, and even D'Angelo Russell. I said DeMarcus Russell. D'Angelo Russell is playing more minutes now, so even he'll carry a decent amount of ownership. But I love this game, the target in general. Cat, Paul George, Steph Curry, Bradley Beal, Russell Westbrook. Pay for 3 of those 5 guys if you can, and then plug in all those other value plays. And that will wrap up my video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do hit that subscription button, notification bell, and of course smash that like button for all of our future NBA content. With all that being said, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.